Out of your money, Democrats say they want to raise as much as $1 trillion in new revenue, which means higher taxes. Republican Congressman Jim Jordan out of Ohio is with me now. And, sir, good morning to you back home in Dayton, Ohio. $1 trillion through new revenues. Apparently the strategy would do it through tax reform. You're shaking your head already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the Democrats, it always reminds me of Lucy promising Charlie Brown she'll actually hold the football this time. That she never does. Democrats always promise, give us some more of your money, and we promise we'll get to the real spending problem later, which they never do. So taxes always fuel additional spending. They never get to the spending cuts that they promise. So the last thing we want to do is increase the tax burden on American families and job creators at a time when we want our economy to grow. That's just not conducive to growth. It's not going to solve the problem. Let's address the problem, which is spending, and that's where Republicans are going to focus in this upcoming debt ceiling
Let me get to that in a second here, but Republicans have argued for some time you got to get tax reform, make the system more fair, and then you'll bring in more revenue. Is that not what Democrats are saying?
No, they're doing tax reform that actually increases the overall tax burden. If we do tax reform that's revenue neutral or actually lowers rates and lowers the overall burden, tax reform that's conducive to economic growth, then we're all for it. But what Democrats want, they just got a tax increase last week, and they didn't cut any spending in that deal. Now they want additional taxes, and they won't cut any spending. In fact, the president said, don't even debate this debt ceiling. Just give me more borrowing authority. Let me have more revenue so I can continue to spend. That's not going to solve the problem. Bill, we got a $16 trillion debt. We're going to have to cut some spending.
Are you in agreement with Mitch McConnell this weekend when he said taxes are off the table? What he said, we resolved this issue. We have it, we don't have this problem because we tax too little. We have it because we spend way too much.
No, he's exactly right. Remember the last debt ceiling agreement 16 months ago. 2 days after the law passed, we got downgraded on our credit rating. A week after the bill had passed, the market had dropped 1,323 points. The super committee, which was supposed to identify spending reductions, fell apart like many of us thought it would. And the scheduled cuts in the last agreement, which were supposed to take place, were just suspended and postponed 5 days ago in the fiscal cliff agreement. So now it's time to raise the debt ceiling again, and we have yet to cut one dime from the last agreement. Spending is the problem. We have to address that problem.
Okay, now Democrats have shown their hand a little bit on where they are on this issue for the next round, the next debate. Where are Republicans when it comes to spending?
Well, we've laid out several plans. We've done a budget in the House that actually gets to balance. The Senate hasn't even done a budget in 3 years. So one of the things I think we should require is, okay, Senate, before we increase the borrowing authority of this country, why don't you actually put together a plan? I mean, think about this. I've said this before. Think 18-year-old maxes out the credit card. The first thing you do is cut up the credit card and put them on a budget. What this president says is, no, give me a new credit card, and we don't even want to do a budget. In fact, Harry Reid hasn't done one for 3 years. So at least do a budget, and then we'll give you a menu of spending reductions we can put in place. You choose, Mr. President. Some of these are the ones you suggested. Some of these are the ones that came from the Simpson-Bowles Commission. You tell us where you think you can cut spending, but we are not just going to give you the more borrowing authority so you can continue to spend. We're going to have a solution, not a deal. Actually, this problem by reducing spending.
Do you think you can get that solution with this White House, with this president, with Democrats in the Senate?
I think you can, because I think you're going to see Republicans in this new Congress be united in saying, look, it's time to stop the deals. The deals always benefit Washington. You know, it's interesting. 7 of the wealthiest 10 counties in the country are in the Washington, D.C. area. When they put these deals together, it always benefits the folks who live around the nation's capital, and it hurts families and taxpayers and small business owners across this country. It's time to forget the deals, and let's do a solution. Let's actually solve this problem, put this country on a path that's actually fiscally sustainable, where we don't have a debt crisis in the near future.
Jim Jordan, thank you. As a Republican congressman out of Ohio, we will see. Buckle up. It's going to be an interesting next month and a half and beyond. Thank you, sir, for your time today in Dayton.
Thank you.